Hello and welcome to Salford City Radio, and I always ask my guests if they'll introduce themselves and give a little bit of background.
Yeah, sure. Jill, thanks very much for having me on. My name is David Staples. I am the Chief Executive of the United Grand Lodge of England, and that's the governing body for Freemasonry in England, Wales and abroad.
Today we're going to be talking, aren't we, about the forthcoming NHS Frontline Workers Day on the 5th of July. So tell me a little bit about that. Is that the first one?
It is, yes.
Yeah.
And I think everyone will appreciate that the NHS has been through a hell of a time over the last year. Before I took this job, I was a consultant physician at Peterborough Hospital, and I still work there about a shift a week or so.
Yeah.
And so, although I haven't been in the thick of it anywhere near as much as my colleagues have, I've certainly been around, and what I've noticed is the absolutely fantastic job that they have been doing under extraordinarily difficult circumstances.
Yeah.
And Bruno Peake, who is the pageant master to Her Majesty the Queen, came up with the idea of having a day where the nation can come together and celebrate the efforts of NHS workers, frontline workers, and also to remember those who have sadly lost their lives doing their jobs, doing things for the sick and the needy. And I think that's equally appropriate as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sort of fairly early on, I had some local news about loss within the NHS, and I think that's when things started to hit home, you know.
I think it did. I mean, certainly for me, I did my registrar training up in Derby Hospital, and a very, very well-loved A&E consultant caught it, was on a ventilator, and then sadly died. And I think for an awful lot of people, it was the death of a colleague or death of a family member or death of a friend, which brought home quite how this wasn't the same as so many other things that have swept across the nation.
Yeah, and I think sort of in general, there's a kind of image, though, that people who work in the medical profession are immune to things, you know, that they're always there. And they are always there looking after us all. But they are human as well.
I think they've been under a huge amount of stress. Anybody who has worked inside an A&E department in the peak of what we've been through, it's a very, very abnormal place. Yet they still manage, on the whole, to keep that camaraderie, that sense of humour, and that sheer hard work, and keep on going as the people come piling in.
Yeah, and they're still looking after us, aren't they, obviously, now?
Yes,
so how are we going to celebrate that day and say thank you, David?
Well, Bruno's come up with this idea of this special day, which is on the 5th of July, and he's asked us to kick it off. We have around 200,000 members, and we're trying to get as many of our members involved as possible to fly specially designed flags at 10 o'clock in the morning. That will start the event off. We're also being joined by the two women's Grand Lodges who are doing that at the same time. At 11 o'clock in the morning, there's going to be a moment of silence to remember those who've died from COVID. Then at 1 o'clock, we have a toast to the NHS. We have afternoon teas planned in a number of our Masonic halls up and down the country, and that's for our members, for members of the public, and we're also asking as people as possible to plan their own afternoon tea at home and actually invite people round, whether that is virtually or according to whatever regulations may or may not still be in place then.
Yeah.
6 o'clock in the evening, there will be a streamed special event. A Northumberland Freemason by the name of Nicholas Deakin is live streaming a theatre show from Tyneham Weir Theatre and Opera House with compere comics, singers, readings, video footage and messages of support to try to raise money on the day. And any money raised goes to two specific charities, NHS Charities Together and the National Care Association. We finish with the nation clapping for NHS workers whilst church bells are ringing 73 times to celebrate the 73 years of the NHS. That's at 8 o'clock. And at 9 o'clock we do something which Freemasons will be very used to, and that's what we call time to toast. So at 9 o'clock, in any sort of lodge, meeting, dinner, whatever is happening stops, people raise a glass to remember those who, for whatever reason, can't be with them. And it means that wherever you are in the world, you know that somewhere in the world there's somebody just remembering you. It's quite a nice feeling, actually, when you're off travelling.
Yeah, that's lovely. So sounds like there's a very full day, and it should be a great occasion to celebrate the good work of the NHS.
I think Bruno has organised a few of these sorts of things before, so he's packed a good number of events in. But the key thing is to try to get as many people involved as possible. We certainly have, and I think pretty much all of our provinces are doing special things on that day. Individual lodges are doing things, but we'd be very, very pleased indeed if the public took it up for such a good cause.
Absolutely, And I must mention, you always do great work,
We realised pretty early on that this was sort of different and special, and we formed a special committee with our grant-giving body, the Masonic Charitable Foundation, and very quickly we were able to either manufacture, raise, source or buy tens of thousands of pieces of PPE that we were able to donate to care homes, local hospices, local hospitals. We donated 1,000 tablets slightly later on in the pandemic when the visiting restrictions came in place, because of course if you're a patient in hospital, actually there's two things you look forward to. The first thing is food. Sometimes you can even eat it, but food is the one thing you look forward to. The second thing is your visitors, because they're the things that sort of break up the day. But when the visitor restrictions came in place, of course, we weren't able to see people when they were going to see people. So we donated 1,000 tablets to various intensive care units and other units, so that people could Skype each other, Zoom each other, could still maintain that level of contact. And of course, more recently, towards the end, a lot of our halls have been used as vaccination centres. So they've been to the NHS, who have merrily stabbing people away at quite a rate as we crack through the population and get everybody vaccinated. So it's been something which the organisation has been very firmly engaged in fighting alongside the rest of the nation.
So David, is a website maybe they can look for more information?
Thank you. It's www.nhsfrontlineday.org, and there's all of the events that are happening and that are planned to happen on that website. And if you want to hold your own event, you can upload it to that site and get it advertised and recognised.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much for telling us about that today.
Jill, lovely to see you again. Take care.
You too. Take care. Have a great day.
And you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.